scent is very, very difficult. You can't see it like a sandwich. Like I'm used to, I'm like, oh, I can make this sandwich look delicious. I had to figure out how to get people to emotionally understand what they were smelling. And that came with a lot of different trial and error. During each decade, my skin changed. And no one was talking about how to change your skincare based upon your age.
I think COVID got such a bad rap. And people that got pushed outside their comfort zone, like they got furloughed from their jobs. So I think that there's a lot of positive that came out of COVID. What was the moment, or I guess the turning point, that you're like, Urthy Scents is going to exist?
It wasn't.
Welcome, everybody. Today on Rebel Roots, I'm talking with the woman who took clean fragrance from hippie boring to holy hell, I need this in my every room. Jen Rotondo is the co-founder of Urthy Scents, a brand that makes scents you actually want on your body and in your home without the toxic chemicals, hormone disruptors, or mystery ingredients hidden in traditional perfumes. So welcome, Jen, to Rebel Roots.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited to be here.
Super excited to get the background of your story. And we were just talking a little bit before the podcast began. And I was kind of giving you some clues that, like, one of my first questions that I love to ask somebody, and we were kind of talking about that, is going right back to your childhood. I kind of told you that I believe that the universe has given us clues along the way of the path that we were supposed to be taken. And I would love to hear all the way back to the early days and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you should say that. I hadn't thought about that before, but you're absolutely right. So I was probably an entrepreneur at heart when I first started, always doing lemonade stands, always trying to make something or create something different. I was always the kid that asked, what if we did this? And what if we tried it this way? And that has really led me to my path and where I'm at right now. And then, of course, I always had super dry skin. So that's part of my heritage. My father and my grandmother always had dry skin. And that was a really big quest for me, was to try and figure out how to fix that. So yeah, absolutely. You're right. It's tied all the way back to my childhood.
Were you like the kid, you said lemonade stands, but were you the leader of the whole group that you're like, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do? Or did you do it solo along your days? And was there any little rebel blood in you at that time that you were saying no to or saying yes to things that people approached you with?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I'm definitely an individualist. So I was by myself doing all of these things. And it was interesting because I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. We grew up in a very rural area and had one or two different good friends, but it was mostly me. So I was out there doing it on my own, figuring it out. And that's just kind of the way I've been this whole entire time. And always said no. Yeah, my mom loved that.
What was the moment, or I guess the turning point, that you're like, Urthy Scents is going to exist? Was there something, were you at another job, or like, what was that point where you're like, this is what I'm going to do?
It wasn't a decision like that, honestly. It just kind of happened during COVID. So right before COVID, my sister and I both found out together that we had the beginnings of autoimmune disease, and we had to take everything scented out of our lives. Crazy day for me because I'm a huge scent person, right? I had plugins in every outlet and fabric sprays and scented laundry detergent. And I found out all of those things were secretly making me sick. And so that was the big aha moment for me. And during COVID, I don't sit idle, right? So I had to have something to do. So my sister lives in Florida and I'm in Georgia. And we were actually playing around with candles and making candles just as something to do while, she was furloughed off her job and I didn't really have any clients to work with. And we found phthalates. So phthalates are kind of this hidden ingredient that are in all of these products. And they're the plasticizers, they make things smell stronger. And we found that's really what kind of was the worst of all of the chemicals for us personally. And when I found out that we could make phthalate-free fragrance oil, that was a really big thing for me. So we were able to kind of all started with this candle. We were able to make a candle that we could burn that didn't give us a headache or make us sick. And that was kind of how the journey started. So it was really more of a hobby or playing around or looking for something to do, honestly, during COVID. That's kind of where it all started. And it just spiraled from there.
I think COVID got such a bad rap. And there were so many negative things about COVID, but I do feel like there was so many people that got pushed outside their comfort zone of like they got furloughed from their jobs or they were sitting at home and just, so I think that there's a lot of positive that came out of COVID, even though, it was just a weird time of our society and world at that moment. But, and I love that
I totally agree.
Something negative and took a positive out of it. So that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people that I talk to, they always want to do a product line. And is there advice? Because I feel like product lines are hard to do and to get the manufacturers and to get the ingredients and all these things. And especially with yours, that you're getting such, specific ingredients to make these products. So give me a little bit of insight if someone's out there and they're like, I want to do a whole nail line or something. But what's your advice on that?
Clean is the toughest part, right? Finding all the proper ingredients, finding it in the United States, getting it in bulk, being able to afford it. It's really difficult. And then, of course, all of the rules and regulations around it are very, very stringent. So it was a huge learning curve for me. So my background's food. I've always been in the food industry. I have done marketing for food, design. I've done R&D. And that's kind of where the similarities really come into play for me because you eat with your sense of smell. And so I kind of already have that embedded in me, trying to figure out like what smells good. So that was a really interesting segue for me. But the ingredients was the tough part. Trying to source and find. I mean, it's been years and I still have trouble finding specific ingredients, especially clean ones, because we have such a stringent list that we keep out. So we're Prop 65 compliant. That's over 900 different ingredients that we can't have. Yeah. So that is really the most difficult part. The marketing and the branding and the packaging. For me, because that's my background, that was not difficult, but sourcing was really the biggest issue.
And you started with candles, you said.
Yes.
And then tell me about the R&D because you have a full product line now and it keeps growing. Every time I go on the website, there's something new that's coming or a new scent. So tell me about those R&D days and starting with one product and how you got to multiple products.
Yeah. So I started with the candle. We started at, actually, my sister started at a local farmer's market down in Florida. And we were really surprised at how many people loved the scents and that needed it. We had no idea that there was this much of a need out there for clean products. And it was 5 years ago. So there really was nothing on the market at all at that time, at least affordably. And then from there, we segued into more home products because that was kind of an easy segue. So we did room sprays and reed diffusers. And then we did car diffusers. Everybody loves our little cute car diffusers. Yeah. And then from there, I was thinking, gosh. So Allie stepped out of the business at that time. She got her job back. So she was no longer furloughed. So I took over. So skincare has always been a challenge for me. And trying to find something that like quenched my dry skin because I'm so dry. And that's kind of where it all started, was filling a need. We found that the candle filled a need for Allie and I, and the candle filled a need for other people. And so I was like, you know what? I'm determined. I'm going to find something. I've been struggling with this all my life, and I just need to find something that's actually going to make my skin feel better, and say, and not be so tight and angry all the time. And that's kind of where the skincare line started and the body care line started. And then it's customers coming to us. And that's kind of how it keeps growing. They keep saying, you know what? I am looking for something like this. I am looking for something like this. So they trust us and they know that they can use our products. And they want more things in their lives that are clean. So that's really how it's kind of grown and evolved to where it's at now.
And are you still like the one that's doing all the R&D, or do you have a team now, or you're still in the kitchen?
I'm still in the kitchen cooking for sure.
All these formulas.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I have a team backing me up. I have an amazing manager, and I've got a organic chemists that I work with to make sure all of the formulas are safe and strong and accurately created. And so, yeah, I've got a whole slew of people behind me, but I'm definitely the one that's in the kitchen working.
So did you start out in a brick and mortar, or were you online first and then took that leap into a brick and mortar?
So it was the farmer's market first, and then we decided that production was happening in Allie's garage. So we decided
so many garages are so, they should get the awards for creating so many businesses. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're totally the same garage story. And then we decided we needed a facility so that we could make everything. And we started in Florida because that's where Allie was, and she had more time than I did at that point in time. And we decided to have just a little retail space up front, and it was very small. And that's how we started. But online took off crazy. And then the word got out more around Lakewood Ranch, where our first location was, and we kind of just took off from there. Of course, I wanted a location by where I live in Georgia, in Marietta, and that's we opened that 2 years ago. So this location has been doing good, but we still sell a lot online. We ship everywhere in the United States and to Canada.
So talk a little bit about that online sales, because it's so hard. You're doing fragrance, right? And so how do you create that smell experience, I guess, online versus, a lot of, I guess now that you got the brick and mortar, that's easier, but tell me was there any different marketing that you did with that between?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Scent is very, very difficult. You can't see it like a sandwich, right? Like I'm used to, I'm like, oh, I can make this sandwich look delicious. I had to figure out how to get people to emotionally understand what they were smelling. And that came with a lot of different trial and error. And I think we landed in a really good place right now. So we have, a great description. We have a visual. We tell people how strong the scent is. And then we talk about key scent notes. So that's been working pretty well for us. But yeah, it took a long time to get there, and it was definitely a challenge.
And I even assume that there's probably stereotype, with us with Clean East, they think that the food is going to be boring and unflavorful. And did you have that same experience with the fragrance? It's that's clean ingredients. It's not going to last long. It's not going to stay here. It's not going to smell good.
Yes, we still have that challenge to this day. So people obviously don't understand the power of clean. And, but I think that's because they've been burned so many times by other brands. Yeah. So they've tried stuff. It doesn't work. I'm very familiar with that story because that was a majority of my life. So trying to get people to understand how well our products work and that they also smell amazing is really a challenge from a day-to-day operation for us.
When you think about going back 20 years and looking where you are, what do you think? Because I just think that there's such a big thing around a female founder and, all the steps, because not only do I think women just get taken by so many things. We have a spouse, and I know that you have a wonderful spouse because I love him.
Yeah.
And then you have children, you have a family, you have a house you have all these other things. And I think, there's so many females that don't take that leap into that founder mode because of all these other things that are happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of my husband, he supports me. So, having that support is key. Yeah, absolutely. So if I didn't have him, he's my rock, my foundation. If I didn't have him, I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do. So without that support, I would not be able to do it.
Tell me, go back to your fragrance and your ingredients. What makes it clean? I think you touched on it a little bit with one ingredient, but what else do you put that love into your products that make it clean?
So everything is plant-based. Most everything is vegan, but we do have a little bit of beeswax and some things. And so if anybody is strict vegan, they don't like using that, but everything is plant-based for us. And I just think the power of plants is absolutely amazing. Trying to understand and feel the connection between plants and our skin and our body, it's really magical, honestly. And so I play into that a lot. And then from a clean standpoint, there's really not much in the United States that puts restrictions, like specific restrictions around what we make in this industry. So that's when I found Prop 65 compliant. That's a California-based compliance program, and it gave me some parameters. So we follow Prop 65 compliance, and then of course we're phthalate free, paraben free, silicone free. So we try and focus on all of the big key toxins and keep all of those out of our products. And it takes a while for us to make our stuff, even our fragrances, because they have to be clean and they have to be plant-based. So as an example, we don't use natural musk because that's not plant-based.
That's crazy. Because of that, I always forget the vegans on that side of stuff. And I honestly didn't know, like, I guess, if not only consumed, but it is on what they do too. So I forget that component sometimes in my world too. So go back to all of that. When you start a product, what's the timeline from start to finish on that?
Gosh, it depends on what it is. So I have my manager here with me, and she helps me make everything. So how long did the elixirs take us? At least a year, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the elixirs, that's our new product that we just rolled out. They're every age elixirs. And so what I found growing up is that during each decade, my skin changed. And no one was talking about how to change your skincare based upon your age, right? It was all just, do you need vitamin C? Do you need retinol? What are these individual components that you might need? And I don't know what they're supposed to be or when I'm supposed to use it. And that was kind of my aha moment. And I was thinking, you know what? We really need to design something that helps everybody during the specific time in their skin's life. And it's a thing. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. We all go through this, male, female. So males go a little bit slower. So it's more about testosterone loss. But of course, we have menopause. And so that adds a nice complex component to skincare as well. But we developed the every age elixirs. It starts from teens. So teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s plus. And it's really 100% targeted to that specific age demographic. And we've been working on that for a long time, at least over a year, I think.
So do you have a sentimental relationship with one of your products? Like, I have a couple of my products that I'm just like, these are my babies.
Yeah, my babies. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Layla has specific babies. She makes everything for us. She loves the balm, right? Yeah. So we have we just developed a body balm, a face balm, and a lip balm. And they're phenomenal. So she's been working on that for quite a while, trying to get it refined and to where we want it for each of those. So that's definitely her baby. But I think my baby would probably be the sugar scrub. Love the sugar scrub. Yeah, I know you're a fan too. And then also the new every age elixirs. Okay. Those are phenomenal. Yeah.
And, okay, so we're talking about all the success and all that, but do you have the failures too? Because I think,
yeah.
So tell me about maybe the biggest flop that you had, or the biggest, oh my gosh, fail, costly, like give me some struggles.
Yeah. Vessels is a very tough one for us. So our jars and bottles and trying to find those, and you've got to buy in such large quantities. And that is just a nightmare getting shipping, and bottles are a horrible, horrible thing. And I'm very specific about what I want to package everything in, because the packaging matters, right? We don't have much else. It's not like I can have a beautiful tomato or a piece of lettuce on there to make it look sexy. So everything has to be in the packaging. So trying to find the right packaging has been and continues to be a challenge for us. And then water-based products are difficult. It requires just very precise, specific, scientific compounding and formulation, and we've definitely missed a lot on water-based products. Our oil-based products or our occlusives, they're a little bit easier to use, a little bit more friendly, but water-based products are a challenge. We've gone through many, many different lotion iterations and just could not get it, and we had to completely start over.
We always, but I do think, was there something that came out of that was a lesson that, okay, we failed on the water-based, or, they're a challenge.
Oil products.
But it was oil products.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing too that came out of this, which was really interesting, I think, most people use water-based products as kind of how society, ever since the Industrial Revolution, We've gone more towards water-based products, but the challenge with water-based products is they evaporate. So they don't stay on long enough. And what our ancestors would do is use oil. And we've just gone away from using oil because, there's a bad stigma that I think the industry has put around oil. And what I really learned is that you need both. So you need to add the hydration, you need to add the water, and then you seal everything with the oil. And that I speak a lot on the oil and water combination and how, I know they butt heads, but they butt heads for a reason. And that's because one gets absorbed and one keeps that absorption in, and that's its job. And without oil, you just evaporate all the water that you put into your skin.
For the lady who's listening to this podcast, if she's going to go on there and buy one product, what would you recommend?
God, that's tough. You have a product?
Either the scrub or the balm.
Yeah, either the scrub or the balm, she says.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would totally do the scrub too.
Yeah, I love the scrub so much. It's so much more than a scrub. And I really wish that I could do a better job, honestly, at getting that point across because it is so ultra hydrating and it just makes your skin feel phenomenal. Like there are women who swear by it. They say, I don't even have to use lotion when I get out of the shower.
Oh.
Yeah, it makes shaving a dream, honestly. So the sugar melts beautifully. It does some light exfoliation. And then you have this great layer of hydration that's left on your skin.
What's your favorite scent then?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Probably right now I'm loving Wildborn. So that's a new one for us. Yeah, I tend to lean towards food scents, obviously. That one has green tea in it, and I love the green tea. So it has green tea and carrot tops, which is a very unique, earthy sort of a scent, but it's just beautiful. And then the black iris on top adds a little bit of the flower component to it. But yeah, it's a really pretty scent.
So talk about the scents a little bit because that's a lot of ingredients in just one scent that goes into there. How do you choose the scents? And I'm really sensitive to scents. So that's really hard for me because I can get nauseous pretty quick, but
yeah. And
then you have everyone's pheromones that react differently. So kind of walk through that whole scent thing because that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. The scents, it's another whole component of the business really, because we have so many of them and we're unlike other brands that we have scents that work in our home products and our body products. Most people only do home scenting or body scenting, and we do both. But developing the scents is always a challenge. And speaking of flops, I have plenty of flops when developing scents as well. But I try and make them balanced. So in the creation of a fragrance, you have top, middle, and base notes. And so there, mostly your citruses are going to be your top, and then your base notes are generally going to be a little florally, a little sweeter, and then your bottom notes are going to be more like your musky, heavy, woody scents. And so with our fragrances, I like to balance, which will make a more complex scent. So you might have 2 top, 2 middle, and 2 base notes, or 3, something along those lines. And then you can be a little bit heavier in top notes if you want something that's brighter, or a little bit heavier in base notes if you want something that's kind of heavier and woody and musky. And then depending upon what you do with those and the percentages that you use, it depends on the length or the duration of the fragrance and how long it lasts can change as well. So top notes are going to be gone the quickest, and then base notes are going to be basically what you smell a couple hours later. So trying to keep all of that balanced and level and be in love with the scent when you first smell it all the way to 3 or 4 hours later and you still love it. That's definitely difficult to do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And make it clean and make it not give you a headache and all of those things. Yeah.
All of the above. Well, you're doing a great job at that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I always like to kind of ask women too. I have men on here also, but I'm always fun with the women just because I think it's, I relate so much better to them. But do you think, or do you have a superpower that came out after you did this? And you're like, man, I didn't think I had a superpower, but that's it.
What's my superpower?
Definitely scent creation.
She said definitely scent creation.
Creation.
Connoisseur. Yeah. I do think
a nose like a hound.
Yeah. I do think it really stems from my food background, honestly. I've always been into food and cooking and ingredients, and I love to learn. So learning and experiencing new things is always a really big thing for me too. So yeah, scent is by far one of my favorite things to do.
Do you ever put the scent that you're creating, and does a childhood memory ever come up with that? Do you Do you think, have you ever, I don't know. I mean, have you ever related something? You're like, oh my gosh, this took me back to da da da.
No, we didn't have a lot of scent. My dad was really sensitive to smells. And so growing up, I really didn't have much scenting in my life at all. We had to keep everything out because he would get really bad headaches. So that's where I got it from.
Totally making up for lost time then.
Yes, totally making up for lost times. Yeah. And now that I'm able to have all these amazing scents and not get sick or get a headache is just phenomenal.
I love that. So tell me, 5 years, where is Urthy Scents?
Gosh, I don't know. I didn't even know.
That's a hard question.
Yeah, that's a really hard question. I would, I think.
Well, you got that franchising in the family.
That's really what I would love to do, I think. I'd love to franchise it. Because I think we built a model that's fairly easy to franchise. So Layla's done an amazing job at making all of our bases. That's really the hard part, right? So we have all of our bases that we make in-house. We have our lotions and our scrubs and our balms that we make here. And then we make them to where now we can add our fragrance to them. So it helps in keeping everything really quick from a production standpoint. And I think it would make an actually pretty decent franchise model.
I mean, you have the expertise in your household. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's a definite possibility, and I would love to see that. When you look back, I guess 20 years from now, what do you want Urthy Scents to represent to women and men? I guess.
Yeah.
Women is probably your biggest customer, correct?
For sure.
Okay,
for sure.
So,
we're getting more men, which is fantastic. I love that so much because I mean, skin is skin, right? You know what I mean? And smell is emotional. Smell helps with your emotional well-being. And I think men are losing the stigma that, I can't use products or else I won't feel like a man. It actually makes you feel more like a man, I think, in my opinion. So, and Mike is a huge user of all of our products too. And I never thought I would get him to use stuff, but he uses everything now. So that's fantastic. But I want it to be a lifestyle brand. I want people to love us and trust us and come to us for all of their clean scenting product needs. We're kind of like a baby Ulta per se, right? But we don't have as many products to offer, but we have everything that you need in your life. That's really what I would love to see. Everybody becoming, I love Urthy and I have everything Urthy in my life because I trust Urthy and everything's clean.
Yeah, brand reputation is so hard. And once you get your customers' trust, you get the loyalty. And I feel like that, and you have the why, you have the passion. I can hear the heart and everything that you love about this brand. And that is, you just don't find that every day, in founder. I mean, founders, yes, but then like the bigger scale, obviously where we all started one day and they've all been up there. So they kind of lose that along the way. And but I think if you have a founder in the beginning, kind of like Dawn and I, we've kept this, I think you can keep that passion going throughout that whole building process. And I'm so excited to see where this takes and all that. All right. So I told you that there was rapid fires. I'm going to get to that bit.
Okay.
Before that, give me your closing statement, best advice that you've gotten or, anything out there for someone who's sitting here, listening to this and they're like, I really want to start this line. Give me the younger generation out there. What do you tell them? Or someone even with us, because we were later in life creating our brands too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just stay true to yourself. Find your North Star and never lose sight of it. That's been the biggest thing for me. And because the amount of diversion and different ways that I can take things is just, unbelievable. But I create my lenses per se that I look through with every decision that I make, and that it's got to be plant-based, it's got to be clean. And so, I have my truths that I follow all the time, and that's really what keeps me going on the right path.
I love that. Well, I'm super proud of you, and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Right. Now, rapid fire. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Right. Let's start off easy for you.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Both.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, dirty chai.
Oh, love, yeah. Okay. Me too. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
First scent you ever fell in love with?
Daisy.
A business mistake that turned into a win?
Urthy.
What scent would describe your current mood?
Oh, loving spirit.
All right. One ingredient you'll never use ever.
Anything with phthalates in it.
Best advice you give a new founder in 5 words.
Stay true to yourself, kind of.
I answer that. Morning person or night thinker?
Oh, morning for sure. Well, okay, so 2 things. Morning and then 2 and 3 a.m.
If Urthy Scents had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my God. I don't know.
Buffalo.
So there's a lot of ingredients that it's hard to say. It's difficult to say. So I taught the girls to sing this song, the animal song, da, da, na, 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 mana, mana. So from the Muppets.
Oh, okay.
And we have an ingredient that's called bisabolol. And so that's how they remember bisabolol. So yeah, I guess that is our theme
Muppet song. I love it.
Exactly.
A ritual you swear by for grounding yourself.
Personal scenting, however you do it. It completely changes your mood, your mindset. So it can be a candle. It can be putting on a little oil and smelling it, but changing your vibe and the way you feel by scent, honestly.
Your number one holiday.
Oh, Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And one thing you wish people knew about fragrance, but don't.
That it can be clean and it can be safe. Yeah, it's really, and that other fragrances are not clean. You know, you go into
the ingredients.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be smarter. You gotta be wiser. You gotta make better decisions for yourself and your family. And it starts with everything that you bring into your house.
I love that. I love your brand. You know, I use it. We just bought the Christmas gifts for all of our franchise partners. So
Thank you so much.
And if you are listening to this, please go check her out. It's not expensive. I love it. The sugar scrub is my favorite. And I don't know what scent I have, but I haven't had a scent that I don't love either. So I'm super excited to get the package in the mail to see some new stuff in there too.
Yeah, we'll be shipping it out this week.
I love it. Well, thank you, Jen, for coming on here. And I wish you the most success.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having us.